Welcome to the new video, Old Crypto Coin, when we look into the world of coin collecting. There are certain coins that hold a special place in history, not just because of their design or age, but because of their rarity, condition, and the stories behind them. Among these fascinating treasures, the British One Shilling coins from the reign of Queen Elizabeth II stand out. Today, we will explore the journey of the most expensive and highly sought-after Elizabethan One Shilling coins from 1956 and 1961, examining why collectors prize them so dearly, how they were made, and what makes them examples worth thousands of dollars at auctions. To begin, let's briefly understand the significance of the One Shilling coin. The shilling was a staple denomination in British currency for centuries, circulating widely across the United Kingdom and even parts of the Commonwealth. It was worth 12 pence, and 20 shillings made up £1 sterling. When Queen Elizabeth II ascended the throne in 1952, the Royal Mint began issuing coins bearing her portrait, symbolizing a new era. The early Elizabethan coins, such as those from the 1950s and 1960s, are extremely collectible because they represent the youthful portrait of the Queen in the early years of her reign. The 1956 One Shilling is an especially intriguing piece. Unlike many coins that were produced in massive numbers, certain years of the Elizabethan shilling had smaller mintages, making them more desirable. Collectors particularly chase after coins that were struck in brilliant, uncirculated, or proof-like condition. The obverse of the 1956 shilling features the first definitive portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Mary Gillick, a design celebrated for its elegance and freshness. The reverse carried two distinct designs: the English crest featuring the lion standing on a crown, and the Scottish crest featuring a crowned lion rampant. This dual design approach made the shilling unique and allowed collectors to acquire different variations from the same year. Now, why is the 1956 shilling so valuable? The answer lies in rarity, preservation, and collector demand. While millions of shillings circulated in everyday commerce, only a limited number survived in pristine condition. Coins with sharp details, no wear, and original mint luster are exceedingly scarce. Some examples graded by professional grading services at the highest mint state levels, such as MS-66 or MS-67, have sold for extraordinary prices at auctions. These coins may fetch anywhere from a few hundred to several $1,000s, depending on their condition and whether they are the English or Scottish reverse type. Moving forward to the 1961 One Shilling, we see another significant coin in Elizabeth's early coinage series. By 1961, the shilling was still widely used, but collectors today focus on special varieties, errors, and top-grade examples from that year. The 1961 coins continue with the same dual design system: English crest and Scottish crest. Both versions are collectible, but again, condition plays a critical role in value. Circulated coins may only be worth their historical interest, but pristine examples, especially proof-like specimens or coins struck with exceptional detail, can reach high prices at numismatic auctions. What sets the 1961 shilling apart is not only its connection to the early reign of Elizabeth II, but also the fact that this period in coinage history was leading up to the great decimalization of British currency. Collectors often seek coins from the 1960s because they were among the last shillings before the system changed in 1971. This historical transition adds weight to their desirability. In terms of actual auction records, both the 1956 and 1961 shillings have had standout moments. Coins that appear flawless, free of scratches, and possessing strong strikes have gone under the hammer for eye-catching amounts. A collector searching for a complete set of early Elizabethan coinage would often pay a premium to secure these years, especially in superb mint state. For example, a single high-grade 1956 English crest shilling could sell for well over $1,000, while a proof-like 1961 shilling might also fetch similar amounts. These are not ordinary pocket change coins anymore. They are treasures reflecting a piece of history and the passion of coin enthusiasts. Collectors also look for error coins from these years. Missed strikes, double strikes, or planchet errors can significantly increase value. An otherwise ordinary shilling may skyrocket in price if it carries such a rare minting anomaly. These error coins are extremely scarce and often become the centerpiece of a collection. Another element to consider is the sentimental and historical value. Coins like the 1956 and 1961 shillings are not just currency. They are symbolic of Queen Elizabeth II's early reign, a time when Britain was reshaping itself in the post-war era. Holding such a coin is like holding a piece of living history, a direct connection to the monarchy, the culture, and the everyday life amid 20th century Britain. Now, let's talk about the collector's market itself. The value of coins like these is not fixed. It changes based on trends, auctions, and collector demand. As more people around the world take an interest in British coinage, especially coins featuring Queen Elizabeth II after her passing, the prices of early issues like the 1956 and 1961 shillings have been steadily rising. Serious collectors invest in these coins not just for the love of history, but also as a way of diversifying wealth. Rare coins can perform surprisingly well as an investment over time. For viewers considering collecting these coins, it is important to learn how to properly evaluate condition. Always examine the sharpness of the strike, the brilliance of the luster, and the presence or absence of scratches or blemishes. Professional grading from respected institutions adds credibility and can multiply a coin's value. Additionally, proper storage in a climate-controlled environment ensures that these coins retain their value for decades to come. To summarize, both the 1956 and 1961 One Shilling coins of Queen Elizabeth II are prized by collectors for their rarity, beauty, and historical significance. Their values in the numismatic world have reached impressive levels, especially for top-grade examples. These coins are more than metal. They are artifacts that tell the story of Britain's currency system, the monarchy, and the changing world of the mid-20th century. As we've seen, what may once have been an everyday coin in someone's pocket can now be worth thousands of dollars in the collector's market. It all depends on rarity, condition, and demand. The 1956 and 1961 shillings, in their finest forms, remain among the most expensive and cherished coins of Elizabeth's early reign. So, the next time you come across an old shilling, take a closer look. You may be holding a small fortune. Whether you are a seasoned numismatist or just starting your collection, these coins represent the perfect blend of history, art, and value. And that is why the story of the 1956 and 1961 Elizabethan One Shillings continues to captivate collectors around the world. Step 1 into the fascinating world of British coins, focusing on one of the most iconic pieces from the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, the 1961 One Shilling. At first glance, you might think it's just another small denomination coin used for everyday transactions in the United Kingdom during the early 1960s. But what if I told you that certain rare examples of this coin have sold for astonishing amounts at auctions, making it one of the most sought-after collectibles in the numismatic world? In this video, we'll explore its history, design varieties, minting details, errors, and most importantly, why some versions of the 1961 One Shilling can fetch such high prices. So, sit back and enjoy as we unfold the story of this small yet mighty coins. To understand the importance of the 1961 One Shilling, we need to step back in time. The One Shilling was a crucial part of the pre-decimal British currency system. Before decimalization in 1971, the British pound was divided into 20 shillings, and each shilling was worth 12 pence. The shilling was an everyday coin used by millions across the UK. But the 1961 version is especially significant because it represents the early years of Queen Elizabeth II's reign. Elizabeth ascended the throne in 1952, and by the 1960s, coins bearing her youthful portrait were circulating widely. The shilling also carried political symbolism. 2 different reverse designs were issued, one with the English crest of the lion standing on a crown, and another with the Scottish crest of a lion rampant within a shield. This was a gesture to recognize the unity of England and Scotland within the United Kingdom, and collectors today prize both types equally. Let's take a closer look at the design. On the obverse, the front of the coin, you'll find the first portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by the sculptor Mary Gillick. This youthful image of the Queen without a crown is one of the most admired portraits in British coinage. It symbolized hope, renewal, and a fresh era for the monarchy after the long reign of her father, King George VI. On the reverse, we have the 2 varieties. 1. English shilling, featuring the crowned lion standing on a crown. 2. Scottish shilling, featuring the lion rampant within a double trachure flory counterflory. The coin was struck in cupronickel, with a weight of about 5.65 grams and a diameter of 23.5 millimeters. Though common in everyday transactions, its variations and condition today make it a star in the collector's market. The 1961 shillings were struck in huge numbers for circulation. Millions were produced to meet everyday demand, but the exact number minted varies between the English and Scottish types. Because they were so widely used, most coins today are found in worn condition. People carry them in their pockets, exchange them at shops, and use them daily without a second thought. As a result, finding an uncirculated example with original luster and no scratches is incredibly rare. This scarcity in pristine condition is one reason why some examples of the 1961 shilling sell for such high prices. Now, here's where things get exciting. Not all 1961 shillings are created equal. Collectors look for specific varieties and errors that make certain pieces far more valuable. 1. English versus Scottish types. Some collectors specialize in one type or try to build sets of both. The balance of demand often makes high-grade Scottish examples slightly harder to find. 2. Proof-like coins. A small number of 1,961 shillings exist in proof-like condition, either from special strikes or exceptional mint handling. These coins shine with mirror-like surfaces and command high prices. 3. Minting errors. Some of the most expensive examples are error coins. Mis-strikes, off-center strikes, double strikes, and coins struck on the wrong planch are extremely rare for this year. When they appear at auction, they can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Let's talk about the money side of things. Most circulated 1961 shillings are worth between $1 and $5. Not very impressive, right? But in higher grades, especially when graded by professional services such as NGC or PGGS, the value skyrockets. For instance, a mint state 1961 English shilling in MS-65 condition can fetch around $200 to $300 at auction. A Scottish shilling in the same grade may go for even more, sometimes exceeding $400. Rare proof-like or error examples can push values well beyond $1,000. The most expensive recorded sale of a 1961 shilling was a spectacular error coin that went for over $2,000, stunning collectors worldwide. So, why does this coin attract so much attention? Firstly, it's a coin from the early reign of Queen Elizabeth II, whose long and historic reign adds immense appeal. Secondly, the dual English and Scottish reverse designs make it a fun challenge for collectors. Thirdly, the survival of high-grade examples is surprisingly low, creating intense demand when a gem-quality piece appears. Finally, the coin serves as a reminder of pre-decimal British money, a system that disappeared in 1971. Collectors and historians alike treasure these coins for their role in everyday life and their connection to a bygone era. The 1961 One Shilling Elizabeth coin may seem ordinary at first glance, but as we've seen today, it carries layers of history, artistry, and value. From its beautiful Mary Gillick portrait to its English and Scottish reverses, from common circulation coins to extraordinary rare errors, it's a coin that captures the imagination of collectors worldwide. If you happen to find a 1961 shilling in your collection, take a closer look. You never know if you might be holding a hidden treasure. Thank you for. Last step today, we are diving into the fascinating world of rare British coins. Specifically, we'll explore the history, value, and unique details of one of the most remarkable coins from the mid-20th century, the 1956 Elizabeth II One Shilling. At first glance, this small silver-colored coin might not seem extraordinary, but for collectors, it represents a beautiful blend of history, royal heritage, and rarity. Some examples of this coin have sold for astonishing prices, making it one of the most expensive shilling coins from the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. In this video, we'll cover the historical background of the coin, the minting details, varieties that make some examples so rare, how to identify valuable pieces, and of course, the record prices that have been achieved in auctions. To understand the 1956 Elizabeth II One Shilling, we need to travel back in time to the mid-1950s. Queen Elizabeth II had only recently taken the throne in 1952, following the death of her father, King George VI. By 1956, she was still a young monarch, and the United Kingdom was going through a period of major transition after World War II. Britain was beginning to modernize, while still holding on to many of its traditional symbols, including its coinage system. The shilling itself had been a part of British currency for centuries, dating all the way back to Tudor times. By the 20th century, the shilling was worth 1/20th of a pound sterling, or 12 pence in the pre-decimal system. It was a very common coin used in everyday transactions. However, the 1956 shilling has a special place because it was minted during the very early years of Queen Elizabeth's reign, at a time when new coin designs were being introduced to feature her portrait. The design of a 1956 Elizabeth II One Shilling is both artistic and symbolic. On the obverse side, the front, you'll find the first definitive portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. This young, elegant portrait was created by Mary Gillick, a renowned sculptor. It shows the Queen wearing a laurel wreath rather than a crown, emphasizing her youthful and classical beauty. This portrait became one of the most beloved images of Elizabeth II and was used on British coins throughout the 1950s and 1960s. On the reverse side, there were actually two different designs issued for the shilling in 1956. One type featured the English crest, which is a lion standing atop a crown, representing England. The other type displayed the Scottish crest, showing a lion rampant within a shield, crowned above. These two variations were produced so that both English and Scottish symbols were represented in the currency. For collectors, this means there are two distinct varieties of the 1956 shilling, and both are highly sought after. Now let's look at the minting details. The 1956 One Shilling was struck in cupronickel, an alloy of copper and nickel, because silver was no longer being used for circulating British coins after 1947. While millions of shillings were struck in the 1950s, not all were carefully preserved. Many went into circulation, were handled daily, and lost their sharp details over time. What makes the 1956 issue more interesting is that it was produced in relatively lower quantities compared to other years of the 1950s. And within those coins, finding examples that are in superb condition, uncirculated, with original mint luster, can be extremely rare. Collectors value coins not just for age, but for condition. A 1956 shilling that looks as if it just came off the press is exponentially more valuable than one that was carried around in pockets for years. 1956 Elizabeth II One Shilling so valuable? The answer lies in rarity combined with collector demand. The mid-1950s coins of Elizabeth II were struck in large numbers, but many did not survive in collectible condition. By the time people began to realize these coins could become valuable, countless examples had already been worn out or lost. Another key factor is the varieties. As mentioned earlier, there are two main designs, the English crest and the Scottish crest. For collectors who aim to build a complete set of shillings from Elizabeth II's reign, both varieties from 1956 are essential. Furthermore, there are sometimes subtle die variations, errors, or proof strikes that can drive the value even higher. The coin is also important because it represents the very early portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. Collectors worldwide love coins featuring her youthful image. Since over a 70-year reign, the portrait changed several times to reflect her age. The first portrait coins are considered especially historic and iconic. Now let's get to the exciting part, the value. A standard 1956 One Shilling that has been heavily circulated might only be worth a small amount, maybe a couple of dollars or pounds. However, in high grades, the price skyrockets. Uncirculated examples with strong luster have been known to sell for anywhere between $100 to $300, depending on the variety and grading. But the real treasures are the proof and error coins. Occasionally, coins struck with special care or coins with minting errors, such as double strikes, off-center strikes, or unusual die marks, can fetch incredible sums at auction. Rare 1956 proof strikes, which were not issued for general circulation, have been reported to sell for over $1,000 when in pristine condition. At major numismatic auctions, collectors fiercely compete for the best examples. Some pristine 1956 shillings graded by professional services like NGC or PGS have achieved remarkable prices. While it may not reach the tens of thousands like ancient gold coins within a category of mid-20th century British coins, the 1956 shilling remains one of the most expensive Elizabeth II shillings to collect. If you happen to have a 1956 Elizabeth II One Shilling, how can you tell if it's valuable? Here are some key things to check. 1. Condition, the most important factor. Coins graded uncirculated MS60 and above are worth far more than circulated examples. Look for sharp details, no scratches, and original shine. 2. Variety. Determine if you have the English crest or the Scottish crest design. Both are collectible, but certain varieties may be rarer. 3. Mint errors. Look for anything unusual, double lettering, off-center images, or unusual shapes. These errors are highly prized. 4. Proof coins. If your coin has mirror-like surfaces and looks sharper than regular coins, it could be a proof. These are very rare. 5. Professional grading. If you believe your coin is in top condition, sending it to a grading company can help maximize its value. Beyond its market value, the 1956 One Shilling carries a deep historical legacy. It represents the optimism of post-war Britain, the youth of a new queen, and a continuation of centuries of British coinage traditions. For many collectors, owning this coin isn't just about money. It's about holding a small piece of history. When Queen Elizabeth II passed away in 2022, interest in her coins surged worldwide. Collectors began revisiting the earliest coins of her reign, which has only increased demand for the 1956 shilling. The coin now stands as both a financial investment and a meaningful keepsake from a defining period in British history. So there you have it, the story of the 1956 Elizabeth II One Shilling, one of the most expensive and collectible coins from mid-20th century Britain. From its elegant design by Mary Gillick, to the English and Scottish varieties, to the rare proof examples that command high auction prices, this small coin